Okay, here we are. Hello, everyone. I'm doing this little live stream because I wanted to do a victory lap. Got Tyler here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing amateur hour live streaming here.
Are we already live?
Yeah, we're already live.
Okay. Is
Uh,
anybody else coming?
yeah, there's like several people coming.
Okay. All right. Let me
All right.
adjust here.
So we're gonna give it a minute for others to get here. And we should be like pros by now and have like an open and a presentation and all this stuff. We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
We're too busy actually making movies to do this stuff. Yes, we are live. We know we're live. We're just not ready yet. So, Tyler, tell me about. Before we get started, I've got like a little presentation that I'm going to put up here in just a second, but tell me how you're doing these days.
Good.
Yeah. What you got going on?
Oh, still just working full time. I just booked another Marty McFly appearance today.
Nice.
For San Diego in the middle of April.
Very cool.
Yeah, some medical conference, I think.
Got Skip in the house.
Thing. What's up, Skip?
We got Julie. We're live, and Ian
Julie.
Mitchell. Well, we're waiting for some of our friends to join us. We'll just kind of talk about why we're here. We had a really successful shoot down at Neutral Zone Studios about a week and a half ago, and it could not have gone better. And people are asking, is this really the end? And that's kind of a complicated answer because really I don't, and I've said this in a couple of interviews, I don't really see it as an ending. Oh, there was Alex for a second. But I don't really see it as an ending so much as crossing the finish line. Avalon was always sort of, hey there, Alex.
Hi, guys. Long time no see.
I think we got Glenn coming here in just a little bit as well. Ray was going to be here, but he had a business call that he had to be on. So that's what we got going on there while we continue on. But it was never meant to be something that went on forever. And I kind of always designed it as something that would have an end because people's lives change. You can't just really drag on a production like this for forever. And a really good example of this is Tori. When we started out with Tori, she was like a 19-year-old kid just starting the journey. And now she's a mom and a business owner and a wife and has all kinds of things going on in her life. And I said to her, when she was talking about, this isn't so easy to do anymore, I said, what if we just shot you out? What if we just shot everything you had left in 3 days? And she liked that idea. And then I started to think, why don't we just shoot the whole thing out? Why don't we just get it done? Because really getting it shot, getting it produced is the hardest part. Once you've got that done, it's so much easier to just take a year or whatever you need to do post-production. And so that was kind of this crazy plan where I was like, hey, instead of making one film, let's make 3 or 4
at the same time.
And it's kind of a crazy thing to do, but we've gotten through it. We've done 5 shooting weekends now, I think. And all we've got left are maybe 2 pickup days. And one of those is because David Agronsoni, my friend David Agronsoni, I really want to have him in, the once and future captain. He was not feeling well when we shot in Kingsland, so we're going to wait until he is feeling well so we can have him in a really special scene with Warren. And then, of course, as we go in post, we'll look at some things and go, well, maybe we want to reshoot this or something. And so, that gives us at least some time. Oh, we got our buddy Jeff is in the house of Reach Films. Jeff is the director of photography for Axonar. Dude knows his stuff. He's an amazing director of photography. He does great work. So
Glad to have you, Jeff.
So real briefly, I'm going to kind of go into a little presentation I put together, and then I want to have both you and Alex kind of talk about your experience with this, kind of take a victory lap that you've really earned, and we'll go from there. So first thing we want to talk about is some sad news. Is one of the Neutral Zone volunteers who joined us for the shoot has passed. Bob Kinney. The great thing about doing film and doing things like this is that you get to meet a lot of people, a lot of wonderful people. The hard part about it is that you don't get to know some people as well as you should or as well as you'd like. I didn't really get to know Bob very well. He helped us out with our shoot, and the only thing I can tell you is that he had a good time, and I'm glad that he did. So we just wanted to mention that he was a strong supporter of Neutral Zone Studios, and that he is unfortunately no longer with us, and we wanted to acknowledge that he was there, and we greatly appreciated what he did for us. So we had kind of 3 phases of this shoot, and phase 1 was Saturday, phase 2 was Sunday, and then phase 3 was sort of Monday, Tuesday. And it was really appropriate because I feel like we ended where we began. We started Avalon at Neutral Zone Studios, and we ended Avalon at Neutral Zone Studios. And it was really poetic in a lot of ways because it felt like those last 2 days of shooting Avalon were a lot like the first 2 days of shooting Ghost Ship in a way, because we had a lot of people on set, and it was probably the biggest production we've ever done. It was probably these 2 days were the 2 biggest days we've ever had.
Probably
Tyler,
my ass
on Saturday, Sunday.
Wow. No, there's no probably about it. This was definitely the biggest, the largest scale shoot we've ever done. We've never done 4 days in a row, and we've never had so many people on set at the same time. And you kind of like grabbed me and you're like, human shield, what?
I do that to you a lot too. I'm sorry.
Well, I've been directing. You asked me to start co-directing again. On this latest phase of these films. So I've done it several weekends, several Saturday and Sunday shoots. But it's when we have 2 or 3 actors on set, and I'm working with 1 or 2 or 3 actors tops, going through rehearsal and that kind of thing. And even then, I would still have downtime between shots because a lot of it was, with all the costume changes with Crisis and everything, a lot of it was just waiting on our actors to do yet another wardrobe, hair, and makeup change. And I can't
Alex.
I couldn't be going through lines with her, rehearsing with her while she's doing that. So, there was still a lot of downtime. This shoot, there was no downtime for me. I Josh, you were there on, the very beginning of the first day of shooting. You said to everybody, hey, thank you everybody for being here. I'm your director, Josh Irwin. This is my co-director, Tyler Donovan. He'll be working with all of the actors. If anyone has any questions, go to Tyler. And then, and if he doesn't have the answer, he'll come to me. But basically, stay out of my hair, go to Tyler. So I was like the go-to guy for everybody. I got all these people coming at me, and having to manage all these people. And it was the first time that I've been given the opportunity, I'll say, to choreograph background action. Because usually it's you, rounding everybody up and saying, you stand here, you stand here. When you hear action, you walk this way, you do this, and whatever. And this time, it was like you didn't have time for that. You were doing all the technical stuff. And you're like, Tyler, I need background action. I want people crossing in the hallway. So I had to round up, all these background actors and be like, okay, you stand here, you do this, and you call action, and then action, and then maybe they've all already walked by, and then the doors open. And see nothing, then the doors close, and then I have to redirect and be like, okay, wait for a 5 count. When you hear action, count to 5, then walk this way, and had to kind of play with it a little bit, tweak it a little bit. But that was a lot of fun.
My favorite one was when we were doing the walk all the way down the 100-foot corridor. And Julie was dressed up in the pregnant lady outfit. And she was supposed to be in the next scene, but you put her in that one.
I didn't know. I didn't know that.
But it's fine. It's hilarious.
Well, because it's in Crisis,
walks across in the back.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, that's the person that was in the soap opera that's gonna be in the soap. Yeah. I didn't know. So I was just like, Julie, stand over here and walk over here. Anyway,
Julie's cool because she's got so many different looks, like all these different wigs and different costumes, and can really be anything. She can be a dead shirt. She can be a crewman, whatever. Like we had her all over the place, kind of like Kelly. But the difference with Kelly is we loved Kelly's look so much is that we just utilized her in as many places as we could decide to make it work, what I mean?
With that makeup and everything. But and Julie was super low maintenance too. She didn't say anything. She didn't hardly speak unless spoken to, and did exactly what she was asked, and what just like whatever you need, and it was just really, really awesome. Kind of the ideal volunteer. Saturday was absolute chaos because I'm thrown all of this like new responsibility. Kind of similar responsibilities that I had before, but now on such a larger scale. And like I would have, there was no downtime between scenes for me, which gave me like a much better appreciation for what you do and what you guys. Even though I still didn't do, I'm not doing near the stuff you do, but still. That constantly going, not having any downtime, because we would shoot a scene and and we would finish that, and then Josh would be like, okay, Tyler, the next scene is blah blah blah. So now I immediately got to start rounding up the actors for that scene, going through rehearsals with them, and then I got to get all my background actors in certain make sure I have people in certain costumes with certain props with certain badges, and I would, round up people, and I was doing all of this footwork like myself on Saturday. And so I'm running around like crazy, you so-and-so, and you, I need you in a red shirt. I need you in a blue shirt. And, go see Glenn. I would, find the people I needed, tell them what I needed them wearing or holding, and send them to Glenn and say, tell him you need this, this, and this. And Glenn was awesome the whole time.
Glenn was like, having Glenn at Neutral Zone Studios, like the biggest win imaginable for the production, because it was like, it literally was the best of both worlds to be able to have Glenn there to be costuming and art department, and then, have the resources of Neutral Zone Studios. I gotta say, going into this, I was worried. I was worried because there was another shoot that I was asked to be a part of that happened about a week before this one. And I was worried that shoot, along with the fan appreciation weekend, would cause our shoot problems, that a lot of people would attend those two events and then nobody would be left to go to our shoot. And God bless Ray Tessie, he just didn't let it happen. He got really aggressive about recruiting people to help us out. I would say we had something like 30 people on Saturday and between 30 and 50 on Sunday.
I was about to say closer to 50 both days.
It was insane. And then Ray, of course, had to go back to work on Monday. So he just gave me a key to the studio. And we shot 2 days there without him. And it's like, it was really neat to be given that kind of trust. Alex, I want to get to you for a minute, because you've now, over the course of several months, had a very unique experience. And I want you to talk about that for a minute. I want you to talk about what this experience has been like for the past 6 months.
Oh my gosh. So it's been a ton of fun. and it's also been by far one of the biggest acting challenges ever, having to play so many versions of the same character. Um, but it's been super fun, like, getting to know everybody, getting to get to wear all the different costumes, getting to be on the different sets, and how it just does kind of immerse you in the world of Star Trek, particularly the Neutral Zone studio set. I heard so much about Kingland and how everybody loved it, so it was really cool to get to go. Um, and it is like you walk in and you're like, I'm actually on a starship. Oh my gosh, what? So yeah, it was really cool, and I loved having so many people there because like the whole set was just so alive. It's very different than some of the other shoots that we've done when there's been like, three of us or maybe
Yeah.
like 10 of us, right? Which is still fun, and I do like the smaller dynamic because then just all of you get to hang out just as your own little group. Um, and like the downside to Kingsland was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't get to talk to everybody and get to know everyone. I would attempt to, but it was so fun. Oh my gosh. And I want to go back.
So on that first day, on Saturday, you played 3 different versions of the same character.
Yes.
Um, we got started early. I got there at 6 a.m. and I think you got there not too long after that. Or no, you weren't. You were there on Monday at 6 a.m.
Yes. Monday and Tuesday were the really early
Yeah, I started
ones.
shooting with Lewis at 6 a.m. on Sunday, but it was just like, holy moly. It's hard to keep track of it all. We shot so much stuff. We shot like 3 terabytes worth of footage.
Oh my gosh.
And we worked on 3 films. So Saturday was Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, and it was just uniquely Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs the whole day. We didn't work on anything else. The one real big advantage from the shoot that I did the week before is that I got to work with the director. And if you look at this stuff on here on the slide down in the lower corner, you'll see a little alcove that I figured out that I could squeeze into. And there were several things like that that I figured out because I had the opportunity to work with a director who knew those sets a lot better than I did because he'd used them for a very big Star Trek fan production that everybody is familiar with. And I'm not going to mention his name, but everybody knows who I'm talking about. Um, and he showed me a lot of little tricks that they used to do on probably one of the more noteworthy productions to come out of that studio. And so what was neat is I was able to steal a lot of his tricks to use in our shoot. And so that was a lot of fun to learn all the little neat tricks. Now Sunday was the big crazy day. There was so much going on. It was like Saturday, that first day of Ghost Ship. I got to mention Dan Martin's here. I love Dan Martin. He's got an iconic voice, and you'll hear his voice in Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs.
Hi,
Um,
Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Dan.
so we shot a lot of really big scenes. This is the day we had Klingons, we had Romulans.
Romulans.
Oh my gosh. And Thomas Dye brought all these Romulan costumes. Glenn brought Klingon costumes. We had a little guest of honor. Sean Patrick Kennedy came to play our main through line villain of the series. And I'm probably gonna
Yes.
do a separate live stream just with him because he really committed to the production. And it was a thing where when we got to the final battle between Mason and the Klingon commander, I just sort of let him do whatever he wanted. Essentially, I just said, "Do whatever you want," and you guys went off and you choreographed this really great fight scene that was so Avalon. It was lighthearted and fun and entertaining. It wasn't just like a complicated fight scene. It was more a performance an entertaining performance, and everybody enjoyed the heck out of it. And you got bruised and hit your head and
yeah,
all that kind of
God.
stuff.
Yeah, I got beat all to hell, and we were like, you were like, that was a great take. All right, we got it. And then we do the next stunt. Yes, that was a great take. We got it. And then the last one. Yes, all right, that was a good one. Yeah. Fuck. Memory card. We got to do it all again. We weren't recording any of that. And I'm like, no.
That was on me. That was on me.
I was like, dude, I am wrecked. But we
And then
did
so we
it.
did it again, and you wrecked yourself again.
Yeah, I wrecked
Like way
myself
worse.
more. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, man, we had like, smoke and Klingons and Romulans and disruptors and craziness, but it was one of the hardest days we've ever done on Avalon. It was nonstop. We finished at like, pretty much post Cosmic Stream. I've tried to keep our shoots at like starting around 9 a.m. and going until about 6 p.m. and then that's it. There was just no way. We had to do longer shoots.
We had so much to do.
Because we had so much to do. And we had a little hiccup on Sunday in that somebody was late, and so we got kind of a late start, so we ended late, and we were sort of chasing our tail a little bit
and kept disappearing. But luckily, can I say this, that I was talking about Saturday being so crazy because I was doing all the the footwork myself, and I was running back and forth and doing all this. Sunday, Caitlin and I Ubered to the studio together, and Caitlin was like, well, hey, I'm not acting today. I'm not on camera today. So if you need me to do anything, and I was like, you're my assistant. You're going to be my assistant today. And she took it dead seriously. She was like, okay, whatever you need, I'll be right there. I'll get it for you. And she was, anytime I needed it, I could tell Caitlin, she served as my legs. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, I need this person in this uniform with these props. And then I need these background actors in these uniforms. Go find those people, tell them exactly what they need to be in, tell them to go tell Glenn. And then, 20, 30 minutes later, all my actors would start showing, and tell them to meet me in aux control for rehearsal. And then they would all show up, and we, everybody's wearing what they're supposed to be and looking how they're supposed to be. And we start rehearsing and going over lines and getting all the dialogue down. And yeah, Caitlin was a lifesaver.
She was a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
Everybody like behind set was like, ooh.
And she kept like every 30, 45 minutes or whatever, she would find me. She'd be like, Tyler, you need anything? No, we're good right now. Or, well, no, I don't think that ever happened. It was always something. Yeah. It was always, go find this person for me, or, get this thing or whatever. And she, boom, right back and with what I asked for. She was awesome.
Caitlin was the person, and I want to do just a live stream with just Caitlin. Because my biggest regret with her is that I didn't hire her to work on Avalon day one after the way that she performed down there. And one of the biggest things Caitlin did was when we finished the shoot, she was the person that kind of realized that I had done 4 shooting days and I was really, really wired. And she was the one that was like, you need to chill out.
Yeah.
You need to relax.
Yeah.
And so she took care of me and helped me and just got me to just let it go and sit down and enjoy dinner with everyone and just chill out. And so it was fantastic having her there. But the other fun thing, and I wanted to mention this about Glenn, is that because we got behind, the original schedule was that we were going to shoot kind of the non-battle scenes first and then go into the battle stuff. But because we were behind, we had all of these background actors and Klingons and Romulans, and we needed to do everything we possibly could do with them while they were there. And it was literally like day one of Ghost Ship again, where we had all those zombies. You remember? We had all those zombies, and we had to shoot with all those zombies. So we just kind of threw the schedule out the window and just shot with zombies.
Yeah.
So we start shooting the fight scene before we shoot the other bridge scenes for the USS Yorktown. And over the course of the battle scene, your tunic just got wrecked. It got destroyed.
Yeah.
And Glenn Wolfe, thank God for this man.
He made a damn uniform.
He made a tunic. He just kind of took some stuff, went back. All right, I'll be right back. And he goes back with the sewing machine. And 10 minutes later, you've got a new tunic and we're good to go. And that is how people make fan films happen. You know what I mean? That is how people make fan films happen. It's not just guys like me. It's not just the actors. It's people like Glenn. It's people like, like Caitlin, like Ed, like Skip. Like at one point, Skip was like opping the boom mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're doing some posts on our social media where we're highlighting all of the people that made this happen. And there's so many people to highlight. It's going to take me another full 2 weeks to get to everybody doing that. And that's how many people contributed. And I bring that up to say, films don't get made in a vacuum. They take the efforts of so many people to do. One other special guest that we had, and I want to mention this, it was Stephen Cockings, who is, of course, the father of our CG visual effects supervisor, Sam Cockings. He came to celebrate his 60th birthday, did it on our set with us. And we threw him a little birthday party with a cake, and everybody had a great time. And then, Tyler, I want you to tell me about what I know was your favorite part of the whole affair, which is the picture at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. So that was the after party Sunday night. We wrapped at like 11:15 or like right around 11. We ended up leaving around 11:15. That was the wrap party. And I just decided it's happening in Sprig's room. Party in Sprig's room. And Jason was like, I guess I'm throwing a party then. And there was Sean and Skip and Ed and of course Jason and Leslie Sawyer and Beth Gartman and Caitlin and Alex, you were there, and Josh, you were there. And after you guys left, I brought a little game to play. It's a card game, a party game called Space Team. And where you're all like, up to 6 players are on a rocket ship together and it's broken and you have to fix it. And you only have 5 minutes to do it. And like, there are no turns. Everybody's like yelling and shouting at the same time because everybody's got a set of tool cards. And maybe somebody else has the tools that you need to make your repair so you can flip over the next card. And so everybody's just yelling at each other and all this gibberish nonsense. I need the meso tackle. I need the transducer limiter, just all this, everybody just yelling and it was great. And they had a great time. And so I played like a couple of rounds, like to teach everybody how to play. And then I backed off and let the people who were watching like actually play. So it was all 6 of them and me. I stepped back and I pulled out my phone to film it. I'm like, this is gold. This is just, my phone's dead. Shit. So I didn't get to record any of it, but it was a great time. That was a really fun, rewarding little after party that I feel like we all needed and deserved.
Yeah, it was really special, and it was worth going to and hanging out at, and it was finally kind of time to take it in that we'd earned this. Again, I'm not seeing this as an ending so much as I'm seeing it as crossing a finish line. Accomplishing a task, reaching a goal. You don't have any control over the fact that something ends. You don't. Everything is going to end.
All good things.
What you may have some control over is how it ends. And I wanted it to end with us achieving our goals and being creatively fulfilled with the work that we did and ready to move on to something else. But the thing about moving on to something else is we did it the very next day. And so you guys were going to this party. Alex and I split like at midnight or something because we had to be back at the studio at 6 a.m. for Tales from the Neutral Zone. And so we did an Avalon crossover, maybe the first of many like this. And to me, this Tales from the Neutral Zone thing, it was like our reward. To me, that was like the rap party in a way, because it was like we just got to settle in all of that hard stuff, Klingon battles and crazy stuff and multiple characters and all this crazy junk we've been doing for 6 months was over. We were past it. And what we got to do on Monday and Tuesday was really just settle in and make a really beautiful character driven film. And I have to say that Alex really, she had some screen presence in this. I mean, she was putting on a clinic in how to be a hero character. She was making me believe it the whole time, and
Oh yeah.
I was sitting there going, I wish she had been with us from the beginning. There have been very few times over the course of 20 years of being associated with filmmaking. I'm getting kind of worked up that I've had to stop and like hold back tears because I watched a performance happened on camera. I'm usually so wound up, I don't have time to see that. And and Alex has done that to me twice now, where she's affected me so much that I had to like stop and gather myself from just watching the performance. She and Caitlin, unbelievable. Caitlin is sort of this is a film that involves, of course, some of the classic bad guys, but really, Captain Allenby's adversary in this movie is her first officer, is Caitlin. And they had an amazing, believable conflict that they did, that they worked through, they resolved the conflict, all of that stuff. But it was just so nice to work on this. It was nice to have, we had some great people that were a part of it. Even, just the crew behind the camera, like Scott Johnson, like Sam Rooks, Mike Perry, those guys who, it was really cool just to be able to say, hey, I want the dolly track over here. And they would just put it there. It was nice to be able to indulge like that. Lewis, again, Kelly was there. We're in a different universe, and we saw Kelly on the bridge and her crazy alien makeup, and then we go down to engineering, and we just had her as Kelly, and had her play a completely different character, and that's what I loved about her flexibility. Now with Tyler, let's see if I have the slide here. Yeah, if you look at the bottom, and you can barely see it, there's a shot with Terry, and she's gonna climb into the Jeffries tube, but right next to that was Tyler's consequence for spending too much time at the wrap party.
I didn't sleep that night because I got back to the room at like 4 something, and woke you up, and then we started talking and laughing, and then your alarm went off, and it was time for you to go to the studio. And like, I got up and showered, and and then I went to the studio myself and made it till about 2 o'clock that afternoon, and I was just fading. I've been script supervising and giving direction, and all day. And about 2 o'clock, I came to you, Josh. You remember? I was like, hey, can I ask Ed to script soup for a little bit? And you were like, yeah, go. Take your break. And so I went and slept in the captain's quarters for 3 hours.
Well, it's fine, because the thing is that I knew for you that the wrap party was a big deal, and I knew that that's where you were going to have your fun, that was going to be the treasured thing for you to just hang out with Spriggs and Skip and all of those guys and just have a good time. And so it was like, when you came into the room, like I had set my alarm for 5 o'clock, and you come in and you're like, you start talking to me, and I'm like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And I literally stood up to go to the bathroom. My alarm went off, and I was like, well, you're going to be the one on set with no sleep today. And but when you crashed, it was fine. I got it. And I was just glad that you had a great time doing it. That was what was immensely gratifying for me. Alex, I wanted to kind of circle back to you regarding Tales from the Neutral Zone. very different than what we were doing from Avalon. Tell us about your experience doing that.
I really enjoyed getting to do, like you said, a much more character driven story, and like Caitlin and I were a excellent team. It was so much fun to get to play across from her and just working with her, and also getting to be this character who is very much like the captain. She is in charge, and getting into her own backstory a little bit, how it affects the decisions that she makes. Um, I like part of the reason why I love stories are the characters. Sure, hopefully the plot is really good too, but give me real characters who are real people who have actual struggles and things that they want to achieve as well. So for me, that was like, yes, here we go. Okay. Um, yeah, and I didn't have to change my hair and my makeup 1,000 times, which is nice too.
Tell me how your character just in Tales from the Neutral Zone, you're just playing Captain Allenby. What is, without I guess going too much into giving things away, how do you think that that was a different experience just concentrating on that one character?
Um, it was honestly like nice to not be distracted by other versions of myself, and in the sense of me trying to think through how would I play this, how do I say this, knowing that I'm also having a conversation with myself who needs to react and say things slightly differently and like even maybe stand differently. Um, so it was just like less distracting, honestly, and I just got to settle in to being one person, um, which obviously is a little bit easier. Um, it it was cool to be like, hey, yeah, I am large and in charge, and you know what? These are the decisions I'm going to make, and you all are going to have to listen, um, without being like a bratty captain. Right? And it was also fun getting to like fall out of my captain's chair. Mm-hmm. Not gonna lie, I'm just like, yes, cool, we're in space.
We did the really classic shot, one of those classic, TOS shots where everyone falls out of their chairs, and Tyler was a little worried about it because of what he'd been through the day before. So
Yes, I was like being well. I'm always like super safety conscious because like once somebody gets hurt, if it's bad enough, I mean, you're in a pickle because
mhm.
then you can't. You got to stop shooting, make sure that person's okay, and then you might have to reshoot if you can't use them anymore. It's from a logistics standpoint. I mean, the most important part is
Right.
is safety for safety's sake. So because we don't ever want anyone to get hurt. But yeah, I'd smacked my head on the concrete the night before, and just really trying to commit to that shoulder roll, and yeah. So Josh was like, "All right, Tyler, have them all fall out of their chairs," and I was like, "You serious?" And you're like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Okay, we can get some cushions for you here because it'll be out of the shot." And okay, and you when you do it, do it gently. We want to make it look good, but we want to be safe. I was just like super didn't want anybody getting hurt.
Well, and Skip, he had done a similar shot a week earlier for this other film, and like I think he hurt himself on that. So it was like, yeah, we got to be pretty careful like that. It's funny because like I was looking at the actual shot we were referencing from TOS, and like all these people fall out of their chairs, and then Uhura does like this ballet twirl in the background, like going the opposite direction. So it's like a little bit ridiculous, but we ended up pulling off the shot pretty well, and I love how it turned out. Um, what would you say was the biggest, Tyler, was the biggest difference directing on the days we did Tales from the Neutral Zone as opposed to the two big Avalon days?
Well, that other than directing, I had the this other film had nothing to do with me or my character, so I was able to just focus on that, and I didn't have to do any acting, of course. It I don't know how to describe it. It was like it was still just as rewarding and just as I was just as focused on it as if it was a fit in Avalon continuity. It's not I'm not going to be biased and be like, oh, this isn't one of my movies, so I'm going to phone it in. It's like, no, this is a really good movie, and I want it to be the best it can be. So it was fun. I'll tell you, gosh, there are so many people. Anybody watching this who was involved in any of the 4 shooting days, that if I don't mention you by name, I apologize. Want to try to recognize just everybody that was there. Thank you so much for being there and contributing. And I want to mention as many as I can think of. There were a few in particular people that really surprised me, that I wasn't expecting them to be to give as good a performance as they did. Because you don't always know. When you have volunteers show up, a lot of them are volunteers who are fans, who are there because they want to help, they want to be a part of it. But and they may not be actors. They may or may not be trained, experienced, or skilled in acting, and then you have some show up that, oh my God, this person's an actor. It's like, when they start reading and giving their performance, you're like, wow. 2 of those in particular for me were Skip and Lewis, because I'd never, well, I've seen Lewis's performance in Doomsday, yeah, and I was like, I had some idea, but even still, versus his performance in Doomsday, especially in the turbo lift scene with Caitlin, just his expressions and his just mannerisms and just everything he did. I believed he was that character. I believed that he was, given his first officer shit, questioning why are you, just everything about it. I didn't hardly have to direct him at all. There was, I really had no notes. I'm like, yeah, do that. That's perfect. And the only direction I had for Skip really surprised me too. He started giving his, dialogue, and I was like, wow, I didn't know this guy was an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And he just killed it. And the only direction that I had for him was there was one little line. It was 2 little, 3 or 4 words where he whispered it at the end. And I said, okay, the only direction I have is don't whisper that part. And then he did it. And anyway, like I said, the guy just really surprised me. He gave an awesome performance. Frank Parker Jr. as well gave a really good performance. And he did, and he kind of got in his head a little bit because he thought that he wasn't given a good performance.
But he was doing a great job.
Yeah, it's like, you're doing great. We just he was saying a few words differently, which actually changed the meaning of what he's saying. So we had to, I had to be like, well, it does have to be, this word and this word. And that was kind of tripping him up a little bit. And he kind of, started to get a little frustrated, and, it's like, oh, no, let's go to the bridge and let's run over a little bit, and then, and then come back. And, he finally calmed down and, realized, okay, I'm not doing so bad. And he just knocked it out of the park. So,
there was so much like that. Where it was almost like you could count on anyone. Jason Spriggs, he was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, he just kind of waltzed in there, played his part, and then he was done. And it was like, you didn't have to say anything to him. He just knew. He just came in. He just did his thing.
He played Rook. He knows Rook. He knows the character. The one part that I loved so much, because he thought he was struggling too. The part where he had a lot of dialogue to say, and
he was great.
Without spoilers, can I say it was? It was a list of names of names of ships, and there were between 10 and 13, I think. There was a bunch of them, that he had
It
to
was a
just
very
list off.
special moment.
And it couldn't, like, we were trying to figure out all these ways to, around him just having to have it memorized. You know, can we cut? Oh, and you're like, no, we can't do. Can we have a whiteboard over here? No, we can't, because it'll look like he's reading. Well, can we do? And you're like, no, he has to memorize it. That's the only way it's going to happen. And he was getting frustrated. So we, you know, he and I went out of the room and went into the briefing room for a little bit, and you know, I tried to do some coaching with him, and I was like, finally realized I'm just going to have to leave. I'm going to leave you alone for, you know, 5-10 minutes. You got this. You've got this. And then Sean came up to me and he had some advice, and he was like, well, you know, say this to him and tell him to, you know, and I was like, you go tell him. And so he did. So Sean actually, you know, was helpful in that. And then, so this is one of my favorite moments of the whole shoot. So he's ready. He's got his game face on. He's ready. He comes in, sits down, and you're like, action. And he's like, boom, 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 boom,
Nails
boom,
it.
boom, 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 boom. You know, and he just started like kept picking up momentum, and boom, you know, his last line. And then you were like, cut. And we're all like, woo, all right, Springs, woo. And he's just like, you know, he's like, whew. And then Josh is like, all right, let's run it again. Oh, fuck off.
It was one of those few times that I got kind of insistent about what I wanted, where I was like, no, this is a really big moment, and so we can't, you know, we can't really do this halfway. And so, you know, I got kind of insistent about it, but he didn't think he could do it, but I knew he could,
I
and
know.
he did. And I was so appreciative. I mean, and then there was another part. Yeah. Ed says, I thought he was going to throttle you. And then he did it again. He did it again. You know,
Yeah.
when we went
Did
for
another
take
take?
2, it was no different. So it was fine. But it was like, then there was this next thing that we shot was him and Leslie. And that was a very special moment. That was one of the very last scenes of the film. And Leslie had a line. She had a very special line that we gave specifically to her because it was appropriate to give that line to her. And that was one of those moments when Leslie said that line where I got goosebumps. I choked up. I was having to hold back because I got so emotional at her performance and what she was saying, and realizing that moment was happening. And it didn't even occur to me. You know, we were shooting. We literally, this was the last shot of the day, last shot of the whole thing of principal photography. This was the martini shot, and it just like it didn't register. And then I called cut, and I was like, oh, that's it. You know what I mean? And I said, you know, that's a wrap on principal photography for Avalon Universe. And it didn't even hit me. You know, it was just like, I don't know. I guess you do something for 5 years. It's hard to realize when it's over, but you know, that's how it went down. Now, what do we have left? You know, we say we've wrapped principal photography. We do have some things left to do. So we have essentially, we've got some pickup stuff. So we have two scenes from Sunday that we had to drop because someone wasn't there, and one because somebody was late. So those scenes are going to be rescheduled. They probably won't happen for a little while. You know, we have to kind of regroup and prepare for those. But it's going to be a lot of little stuff, like we may redo individual shots. We may do some ADR. We're not going to have to do a lot of ADR because there's been some recent advancements in AI filtering that make it so ADR is 80% not necessary anymore. So like you can use an AI to go in and fix your audio, and it does this neat little thing where it scans the sine wave, and it, you know, figures out the voice, and then just creates a new audio file with a new sine wave, and without any of the junk. It's just
Yeah.
that voice. Now, the problem that it has, I'm always like, my hat's always like crooked. The problem that it has, oddly enough, is the same problem that ADR tends to have, which is it can be too clean. And so you
Yeah.
have to kind of rough it up a little bit. But about, there was in one of the Tales from the Neutral Zone scenes that I've already kind of let everyone look at, there's a part where Alex walks away from the mic. And normally when you would get that far away from the mic, you wouldn't be able to hear them anymore. It'd be real echoey or unusable. And I used the AI on that, and it was like she was standing right under it again. So, that just for that one scene proved you don't need it. There was one scene where everyone's walking down a corridor, and we had really weird mic placement. Normally you'd have to ADR that. Nope, the AI totally fixed it. So there's going to be limited ADR. There's going to be maybe some green screen stuff. It's really kind of basic, second unit, just kind of mop up duty type stuff that's going to take place between now and Halloween. We're going to be using AI, and Ed's mentioning, pretty cool, right? We're going to be using AI for some other stuff too. There's AI programs that'll clean up, film grain, or take out video noise, and so you can add film grain. There's AI stuff that will like isolate people so that you're not having to draw masks anymore. There's a bunch of cool stuff that we're going to be able to utilize here that I'm really excited about the post process. Way this should work out is there's also one other thing we haven't shot that I'll mention. Sorry. There's this scene we've got to shoot with this fat guy who may or may not be the executive producer director. And I can't get this jerk is pissing me off because I can't get him to lose weight. I keep asking him, dude, you got to lose like 50 pounds, get it in gear. He won't listen to me. So whenever he gets his act together and loses 50 pounds, we're going to shoot this scene.
I thought it was 20.
It's one of those things. So
it was 20, 30 pounds ago, huh?
It was 20, 30 pounds ago. Now it's
Jesus.
50. So we got
well, I might know a former
Sam.
personal trainer.
Yeah, I might. What's up, Zam? We got
Zam.
Yeah, we got
right.
Zam here. We got Ruth. We got Vance. We got Ed. We got Skip.
V-Man.
Got a lot of great people in with us who all had a big part of this. So we've got, what do we have left as far as what we're going to release? Well, we're going to be releasing 3 Avalon films: Knights of the Void, Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, and The Once and Future Captain are the 3 that we have left that are Avalon releases.
Real quick, let me ask: are you having to get off soon? Is that why you're trying to wrap it up, or do we still have a while?
Me, I got as much time as we need.
Okay, cool. I do too. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just trying to disseminate information. So with Knights of the Void, that's going to be the first one that comes out. That's going to continue the Derek Mason, Jamie Archer story. Our friend Keith Hamilton, who is here with us, is helping out with post-production for that. He's done some cool work on it so far that I'm really excited about. Both Keith and Jason Spriggs are going to join the post-production team and help us. So it's not just me trying to do all of it.
Yeah.
So I would expect to see Knights of the Void towards the end of July, probably about like 1 year out from when we released
Needs of the One.
Yeah. Then we're going to see Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs. Dude, it's a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It's so a Halloween movie.
Yes.
For so many reasons. One, because Halloween is the big anniversary of Ghost Ship. So we always like to release something on Halloween. Secondly, everyone just plays dress up the whole movie. You're playing all these different characters from all these different universes. It's a Halloween movie, man. It's dress up,
I hadn't thought of it that way, but
yeah. And even though Derek Mason is not in that one,
Derek Mason is in.
Well, Not the Derek Mason, not the Avalon Derek Mason, but
Yes.
Not the one we know. But you know, it's the thing. The thing with Ghost Ship is it was a natural fit for Halloween because it was zombies. Well, this is, you know, playing dress up. So I think it's a perfect fit for a Halloween movie. The Once and Future Captain. Um, Here's the deal with that. It's easy for me to say Halloween for Crisis because, you know, that's, you know, 6, 7 months away. No problem. With Once and Future Captain, it's such a big film. And it's going to be kind of an interlude type situation where we're going to take as long as we need to take to make that film awesome. So if it's a year between Crisis and Once and Future Captain, it's a year. It's however long it takes to make that a cool movie. The good news is our Tales from the Neutral Zone crossover will come out soon after. Like, you know, Crisis, the Tales from the Neutral Zone probably like come out the next week. And what we're doing there is my version of an epic CW crossover event between fan films. So we're gonna do a Constar with Vance, and we're calling it Constar Crosses Over the Avalon Chronicles. So, you know, like all his different seasons have been like Constar Chronicles, Constar Continued, Constar Concludes, and this is gonna be Constar Crosses Over. So we're going to kind of start the Crisis on Infinite Excalibur story in Constar Chronicles or Constar Crosses Over. So that'll come out first. And then the plan is the next thing we're going to do is a Federation Files that we haven't even shot yet, but it's really simple. But we're going to do a Federation Files because there was this scene in Needs of the One that was so great with Alex and Dan Reynolds. Dan Reynolds is an amazing actor. Like,
Yes, that was so good.
It's his missed calling in life. That dude could have been an actor in Hollywood. He's just good. And so when we saw how that chemistry between Alex's character and her father worked in Needs of the One, it was like, man, we've got to find some excuse, any excuse to get Alex and Dan on camera again. And so this Federation Files that we're talking about doing is going to be all about that. It's just going to be the two characters, you know, Captain Allenby and her father. And that, like Tales from the Neutral Zone, will be Prime Universe only. That'll be a Prime Universe story that will take place before Crisis. Then we'll go into the Avalon Universe film, Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, and then we'll conclude the story in Tales from the Neutral Zone.
Because in the Prime Universe, Michael Allenby is still alive when
He's still alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference is in the Avalon universe, he has passed on. In the Prime universe, he's still alive. And of course, those circumstances have very different effects on Michaela and what she chooses for her life. And so you see two very distinct versions of her who have made different choices in their life based on, you know, because with the Prime Universe version, you know, her father was such a legendary captain, it was just assumed that she would command a starship. There was no discussion about this. This was her destiny. And so that is who her character has been. And until she became a captain, she never even stopped to ask herself if that's what she wanted or didn't want. It was just the reality of the situation. Whereas Avalon Allenby, she's been a free spirit for 5 or 6 years and just kind of followed her own path. And so she's in a totally different place in life. And that'll be the really unique part is about Crisis is this. There's an old story that Michael Piller told about Gene Roddenberry. And that was that they were going to do the episode Deja Q, right? And it was going to be this wild goose chase where Q leads the crew on a wild goose chase. And they used to have to go pitch these episodes to Roddenberry. So Michael Piller goes to Roddenberry and he says, you know, this is the episode. And Gene says, well, what is that about? And Michael Piller's like, well, it's about a wild goose chase, Gene. You know, Q's going to take them all on a wild goose chase. And Gene's like, no, you're not understanding my question. Like, what is it about? You know, what does this convey to the audience? What do you walk away with? And so we've got this crazy story, Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, all this excuse for multiple universes to interact and all of this. It's not just a wild goose chase. It is about something. And what it is about is how these different circumstances have affected the lives of the different versions of this one character, Michaela Allenby. How was her life different in all of these places because of the circumstances she was in or the choices that she made? Now, somehow it doesn't really apply as much to some of the other characters. It applies to like Jaconde. You know, there's a arc with Jaconde too. But with like Mason, it's like in one universe he's Elvis, and the other universe he's Marty McFly. You know, there's nothing going on there as far as the story. One universe he's a woman. You know, that's about it. But you know, Jaconde, you know, he's got his own comical arc across universes. But with Allenby, there's a very serious through line to what she's got going on, and that's really the lesson for her that she has to confront is how was her life different, and then how does that affect her in that moment? How does that affect her decision making process going forward, knowing all the different ways her life could have gone? And I think that's a fascinating way to explore, you know, the question of self. um, how would your life be different if you had made different choices? How are the choices you make yesterday pertinent to the ones that you make today? So it is about something too. It's fun. It's a wild goose chase. It's silliness and Elvis Presley and Flower Blossom and all this crazy stuff that's there. We have a whole Way to Eden hippie universe that we explore. But it is about something, and again, that's one of the moments when we really hash that out, when we really hash that question of her life out. That's the moment Alex first made me tear up, and I had to leave the room. Was that scene, because there was a message in that specifically for my 12-year-old daughter, and to hear her speak those words the way that she did was really powerful to me.
No,
Anyway,
you didn't leave the room. You lost it right there, like on set. You did. You were like, I'm sorry. Sorry guys. Give me a minute. Yeah, you didn't leave the room.
yeah, I did. I walked into the transporter.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, I walked in there for a minute and kind of recovered, but um, it was a special moment. Alex, overall, you know, you came and you worked with us, and you know you've been with us for about a year now, and we didn't lie to you about what you were getting into. At least I hope we didn't. I tried to be as honest with you as possible that you were getting into a production that had history, that had overcome adversity. Overall, what has this experience been like for you?
Oh man. Um, for starters, I have grown so much as an actor, um, from getting to be in all the different episodes, and then of course playing so many different versions of myself. But then also because of Tyler and how much he has helped me and coaching me has been amazing. Um, so I've grown a ton. I've had so much fun because I'm not a Trekkie, and so sometimes it would be like, oh my god, these Trekkies. But legitimately, like that has just been super fun getting to, like, honestly be invited into this world that means so much to Star Trek fans, and realizing that I've been given like something that is very precious, the opportunity to be in one of these fan films, because it is carrying on these storylines and these characters that everybody loves so much. It's super fun, and it's also been um, educational in understanding like a lot of the stuff that happens like behind the scenes, whether that be good things, like cameras, lights, sound, even organizing craft services, all those different things, all the different elements that make a film happen, all of the different people that have to be involved. I mean, like as a theater director for kids, like I'm used to having to be the person who just like does everything. But it's like, oh my gosh, there's somebody like Glenn who knows how to do costume things. It doesn't what? So that's really nice to get to see that. And then also like some of the negative things that happen within the film industry, with whether it be egos and all sorts of things that get thrown around, and just remembering like, oh yeah, these are people and stuff happens. And so then, what do you do to move forward? And I mean, I'm new to the film industry, and so getting to learn from other people who have gone through lots of different things, and how they've handled their own situations, like you guys, um, is helpful. And just like store it away, be like, oh, this is something for me to learn from, honestly. And then like other actors that I've gotten to work with as well, getting to learn from them, like with Lewis, Caitlin, Warren, and Lou, um, Jen Rader. I know there's definitely other people, but those are the ones who all like come to mind. Oh, Jessica, duh, yeah, all these,
Jessica's been amazing.
yes, all these incredible actors that I've gotten to work with and across from, and it's just like, oh my gosh, yes, here are other people who are good at their art and therefore help push me to be better at my art as well. Is awesome. Love it. And I'm so hooked, and I don't want this to end.
Well, Alex,
It's funny. It's what everyone says. It's what Victoria Archer said when she did her last day, and we had to be like, well, so what would you think if, and we pitched something to her, but um, the big lesson of Avalon Universe to me has been this: adversity is something that is just built into the filmmaking process. It's baked in. There's no getting around it. And some of the greatest films that have ever been made, my personal favorite film of all time, again, the irony of this, is Back to the Future. It is a masterpiece of filmmaking. It is my absolute favorite movie. And and then Tyler's is a Star Trek movie, which you'd think it would be the opposite,
Wrath
but
of
it
Khan.
isn't. It isn't. I'm the one who loves Back to the Future. Back to the Future had all kinds of adversity, all kinds of drama when that film was made. They had to shoot it twice.
They shot half the movie with Eric Stoltz and then fired him and brought Michael J. Fox in.
Started over.
Yeah.
And so it's like you can look up so many movies. You can look up, Die Hard. Die Hard, they were like shooting 2 days ahead of the scriptwriter writing the script. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Movie making, adversity is just part of the process. And there's this really interesting quote from Martin Scorsese in his master class on filmmaking. He says, if you don't look at your first rough cut and become physically ill, something is wrong. And the thing that I've learned is in this process, you're going to reach a point where it just seems like none of it's going to come together. It just seems like, man, why am I doing this? This is just a waste of time. You want to give up. You just want to give up. And the people who do give up, and that project never materializes. But some people can just sit back and go, okay, what do we have to do? Do we have to reshoot? Do we have to try something else? Do we need to adjust what we're doing? And the people who just are relentless in doing this, who are like the board, are the ones who get their projects made. There's a filmmaker that I admire named Kevin McNamara, and I had the opportunity to work on a film that he directed. And he was so hyper focused. He was tough. He didn't take any BS from anyone. He just was so focused on making his movie. He was firm when he had to be. He was cool when he didn't have to be firm. But it was like this guy was going to make his movie come hell or high water, and he just didn't care about any of the BS that was going on around it. And he looked at me one day and he said, you know what your problem is? And I said, what's my problem? He says, you're too weak. You're too weak. You need to be stronger. You need to just toughen up, forget about anything else that's going on, and just figure out how to get your movie made. And he was right. He was absolutely right. Now, I don't know that I would take, how I conduct myself to the kind of the extremes that he does. But at the same time, I just needed to be resilient, and I needed to do whatever it took. And this team has been the reason we were able to do that, because we finally were able to get a group of people together that were committed to working as a team in order to not make something in a vacuum. And I'm so happy that we were able to make that work. Um, what I had to do personally is I had to just completely change my approach to what I was doing. I had to stop trusting people who said they were my friends. I had to just go out and look for people who wanted to make films, who wanted to be actors, who were committed to the craft. And that's how we found you and several other people. And we have had the best group of people we have ever had working on this, and that's why we've been able to cross the finish line.
Yeah, Josh, I'd like to, if I can, just address Alex directly for a minute. Alex,
Yes.
seeing how far you have come since the beginning of this, I couldn't be more proud of how much you've grown as an actor and how the performances that you've given. I feel like a proud parent,
Thank you.
having the absolute pleasure and privilege to work with you, and you trusting me, putting your trust in me as a director and acting coach, and just delivering, even when it was really hard, because there were times that it was very difficult, and you did some very difficult things, and you didn't. A lesser actor, a lesser person would have cracked under the pressure that was put on you, and you came through. You've blown us away. So thank you.
Let me tell you what she's gone through a little bit, just so you know, for everyone watching. We had this goal to shoot in cold weather, because every year we've ended up shooting in the heat, and I'm just like, we're gonna shoot in cooler weather, because it's, as much as it's hard, it's a lot easier to do the cold weather than it is the hot, because I never got heat exhaustion from the cold weather. As soon as it was hot, I was just like dying. I almost, I think it was Monday, I got heat exhaustion really bad on the shoot, and had to, but I made it through. But we had days where it was 20, I think it was 25 degrees in the transporter room one day.
Yeah.
When we were filming. Now, it wasn't always that cold, but it was pretty cold. And Alex would just sit out there at Warp 66 Studios and do her makeup and hair in the cold, and not even put a coat on or anything. She would just do it, because she was like, well, if I warm up, then I'll be cold, and so just might as well stay cold. So she would just commit, and she would go play this character in the ice box, and you'd have never known there was ever an issue. She has some other health issues that, I don't know if you want to get into them or anything like that, but you had a struggle in Kingsland that you didn't tell anybody about until we found out later on, and it was like, nobody would have ever known you were enduring that, because you gave no indication. You just powered through it, and you were a warrior.
Thank you.
So, but that was, by the way, that was the extremes, is 25 degrees in December in the transporter room at Warp 66 Studios, and 90 degrees inside Neutral Zone Studios on Monday in March, first weekend in March. That was the extreme of what we were having to endure making these films. I guess we're either crazy or we really want to do this for some reason. I don't know what.
Hooked.
We're hooked, and there's one of my favorite movies is Disaster Artist, about the making of the film The Room with Tommy Wiseau.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
And there's a scene where the lady playing the grandmother passes out, and then in the next scene they're talking like, why would you come to set when there's no air conditioning and you know, you passed out? And she says something really profound. The actress said, sometimes even the worst days on a film set are better than the best days somewhere else. Um, and that's really how we all feel about it. You know, who else gets to do this? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You go through. I mean, you got to raise all this money and or put your own money into it or go across the country. But it's like we're going across the freaking country to shoot Star Trek, man. Like I would have died for that when I was 7 years old to be on a Star Trek set. You know what I mean? And look at what we've been able to do in the last 5 years. We've gone to Georgia. I've gone to Phoenix, Arizona. We've gone to Oklahoma, Texas. We've been all over the country shooting this crap. And you know, you're not just sitting in your house or doing whatever. You're going out and we're making Star Trek. You know, I remember when we were, you know, Vance and I got to go to STLV. You know what I mean? We were at Star Trek Las Vegas, and he was about to go on stage to be interviewed by Scott Mantz, who's like a professional dude that interviews movie stars. I think he's on Access Hollywood. And I said to Vance, "This is a Star Trek convention, and you know Jonathan Frakes and you know Tim Russ and Garrett Wong and Denise Crosby and Mike Okuda and all these Star Trek people are going to go onto this stage and be interviewed because they were on Star Trek or they worked on Star Trek. You know who else is going to be interviewed on that stage for being an actor in Star Trek? Vance Major. You are going to go onto that same stage and you're going to be interviewed because you were a Star Trek actor in a Star Trek film. And you have your, no matter what, you have your own corner of the Star Trek universe. And that's absolutely true. All of us who do this have our own little piece of this world that we love. And they can't really ever take that away from us. You know, we have carved out something for ourselves, and we, you know, we're all in this together. And that's the thing that I love about this time in fan films, is that this is not a thing where these, you know, these different fan film productions are against each other. That time is past where you're in this camp or that. It's not what we're doing anymore.
Yeah, my Star Trek is better than yours.
Yeah, we're not doing that now. Everybody's production counts. Everybody's, you know, whether it's Vance, whether it's George Cahan, whether it's Gary Davis, whether it's Aaron Vanderklay, John Broughton, everybody who is out there making Star Trek, we're all part of this same fan film thing.
Who's the guy that you were talking to Leslie about, that she was saying that she told him that
Jose Zepeda.
Yeah.
He's, you know, he's a Star Trek fan filmmaker, and it was like, that's one thing about the Once and Future Captain when you see that, is that it is not, you know, fan films are described as a love letter to Star Trek. The Once and Future Captain is a love letter to fan films. Totally different thing. And we take a moment, as you were talking about earlier with Jason Spriggs, to homage all of our fellow producers. And that's why that moment was so important, that we had to get that right, because that's what we were doing, is we were including our friends in our production. And so,
and building on that, if I can
go ahead,
interject, you know, talking about this being a community and instead of being, you know, a competition and everybody supporting each other, it you know, I think it was kind of a thing in the past where I don't know if it was just rumor. There was, you know, maybe some truth to it at times. I'm sure there was, that there were, you know, the different set owners, or, you know, people that ran different studios. There was some bitterness between those kind of people. You know, studios didn't like other studios, and one of, you know, talking about us trying to change that and, you know, be a community of people who support each other. One of my favorite moments was I can't remember what day it was. It had to have been either, I think it had to have been Sunday. So Neutral Zone Studios has been in half of this building, and there used to be an egg roll factory in the other half. Well, now the egg roll factory's gone, and they've taken over the other half, and they're starting, I guess, demolition on it, knocking out some walls and stuff like next week. Or
You're gonna like have the Guardian of Forever in there.
And I was looking for Glenn because I needed Glenn for something. And Glenn, for anybody watching who doesn't know, Glenn Wolfe is the owner, one of the owner and operators of he and Dan Reynolds run Warp 66 Studios here in Arkansas, and Ray Tessie is the owner of Neutral Zone Studios in Kingsland, Georgia. Well, Glenn came with us, so we've got this other studio owner and operator, and somebody said, "Oh, Glenn's on the far side of the building," and I went around. And walking around in this emptied out, used to be an egg roll factory side of the building, Ray and Glenn are walking around, and Ray's like, yeah, and over here we're gonna do, and then we're, whatever. And it was just these two guys that are both, run studios, and they, they're not being bitter and backbiting, and they're hanging out, they're being buddies, yeah, I love each other. That was one of my favorite moments,
and
to see that.
Another cool part of that was Glenn provided the costumes for the Tales from the Neutral Zone episode that we did. So when we did these great costumes, we're doing post season 3, and I don't know, this is a nerd thing with Star Trek, but there were 2 types of costumes in the original Star Trek. They were made of 2 different materials. Seasons 1 and 2 were velour. And then there was a double knit fabric that was used in season 3. Well, both Crisis and our Tales from the Neutral Zone episode, which is a French word, a French name, it just means the death of the war, take place post season 3. So they had to be wearing the double knit. And Glenn just keeps an immaculate stock of these Anovos double knit costumes that aren't made anymore. And so he brought those with him and clothed, dressed all of the, primary actors for this Tales from the Neutral Zone episode. So, you had Glenn of Warp 66 providing costume and art department for Tales from the Neutral Zone. And then what did we do? What we always do on an Avalon shoot, we took some shots for the Federation files. So some stuff we shot at Neutral Zone will end up in the Federation files, and some costumes that were bought for the Federation files are going to end up in Tales from the Neutral Zone, which is cool.
Yeah, love it.
Cool. So
love it.
Man, what a thing to do! It was just so neat to watch it all materialize like that, and to see everyone just have a freaking great time. I know with Glenn, there was a point where we wrote an homage to Glenn in the script. And he was script supervising at that point because Tyler was on camera, and he reads the line and he's like,
"Oh, you wrote this for me."
Did you write this part for me?
Just so you know.
Yeah, it was. Somebody says, "Just so you know," which is, Glenn came up to me one day like 3 years ago, and he was like, "So, do an impression of me." And I go, "Just so you know, it's 11 o'clock." And he reacted the same way Alex just did. Like he lost it. He thought it was hilarious. And but that's his catchphrase. So it was like, we worked it in. So what happens after this? Are we posed the question, is it really over? I don't know.
Well, we don't have to come back to that point yet, because this live stream isn't over yet. There's still I still got lots of stuff to say, lots of people to recognize.
All right, take it, Tyler. It's you, man.
I feel like we haven't talked near enough about Sean Patrick Kennedy. I mean, that
It was on
guy.
live stream, but go ahead and talk.
Yeah,
about
that guy. Just I couldn't be like happier or more thrilled with having somebody. I mean, what a great guy. I mean, he just brought all of his presence and all of it. He didn't have to be there. But he did because he wanted to, and it was just the guy was great. He was great to work with. He trying to make sure I got hurt as little as possible. Doing the fight scene, and he's just a charming, just friendly guy, just a real genuine person. And can we mention our makeup person, our special guest makeup? Okay, no. He brought a special makeup person who
he brought a friend who helped us out that didn't have to come, and was very kind and just said, just doing it for the heck of it.
And I was honored to have had my makeup done by this person. And, with all, anyway, I know, can't talk about it. But
the thing about Sean is he's a big boy. He's a big guy. He's like a former college quarterback, athlete, big dude. And he and I get on the phone and we start talking about this. And he says, okay, what are you wanting from this battle? Because he's like, I've got some thoughts. And I said to him, because he hadn't met you yet. And I said, imagine that you are fighting Michael J. Fox. Just imagine you're fighting Michael J. Fox and leave it at that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And he comes back to me with, okay, I've got some thoughts, and he describes it for me. He's like, so I could pick him up and throw him.
And we planned on doing that, but then he figured he was like, yeah, I'm not, because he was gonna grab me by the neck and pick me up, and I was gonna jump, and that would be, and then but then the timing of it didn't work. I would jump too early and then hit, and then he would pick me up, and with as little padding as we had, he's like, we're not gonna be able to do this. He's like, I can't pick you up and then slam you to the ground because it's not safe.
That crash pad just wasn't crash pad enough.
Well, it was a crash pad. It was a crash pad about that thick with 3 couch cushions, and my elbows missed those cushions every time, and hit the concrete, and But
he modified it though. He did still throw you around.
Yeah,
He just modified it a little bit.
Yeah, there was one time where I come at him with the first punch, and he just kind of grabs my wrist and slings me around, and he slung me into the railing, and the railing went rant, and I was like, oh shit. You were like, careful with the railing there.
Yeah, there was this audible gasp. It was that moment where oh crap, I'm glad Ray's not here.
No
shit. Right in the railing. I thought he was gonna snap. And everybody's like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even try to, there was that much force behind it, and he was trying to sling me around where I would kind of spin around, but that one time I just went straight into the railing. I felt it flex, and I was like, whoa. But anyway, Sean Kennedy, wow. He was great. To have him, it's it's going to be so much fun to see the finished product. Now, as a director, a lot of directors, as you should, not want sometimes other actors will try to direct or whatever, and that's a pet peeve of a lot of directors. But sometimes, and I think I said that at the beginning of the first shooting day, hey, if anyone has any suggestions, please bring them to Josh or myself first, preferably, and maybe we'll use it. Or, maybe we'll say, well, thank you for the suggestion. But please do not try to direct other actors. But one case in particular that I didn't mind at all, that I thought was great, it was Thomas Dye, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's his Facebook name, but then later on he was saying his name was Kevin. I don't know.
Okay, well,
whoever he was,
Thomas
Romulan guy.
Thomas Kevin, Mr. Dye, thank you so much for your choreography in directing. He just started, because our direction was, okay, Romulans, you're all going to run down the hallway. You're just going to charge down the hallway with your weapons drawn. and he started doing this like choreography with them. He was, you know, like military or police style tactics, and where, you know, one of them would stand next to a door, and then another one would come around and stand on the other side of the door, and then they clear the room, and then he like had all this like intricate, well, not intricate, I mean, it was fairly simple, but it looked really cool. And, you know, instead of, you know, being a you know, asshole egotistical director and, oh, well, that's not your job, I'm directing, I was like, that looks great, do that. Yeah, everybody listen to Thomas or Kevin or, you know, Mr. Dye. But because I liked what they were doing. Now
they were real tactical about it.
Yeah, it just looked cool. It looked cool. Yeah, we remember like, yeah, do that. Sometimes, you know, people will surprise you with stuff like that. So that was, you know, welcome.
That's like one of my favorite parts about filmmaking is when people bring in things that you haven't thought of.
Yeah.
Or you're just like, hey, you know, do this, or you're thinking something for a costume, or you're thinking something for a prop or whatever, and they come in and they're like, you know, they make a suggestion or a thought, or they know a little bit more about something than you do. It adds to the quality of the film you're making. You know, I somewhat consider myself kind of knowledgeable on motion picture lighting. But then when Neil comes in with something that I hadn't thought of at all, that's way cooler, it just makes it that much better, you know?
Yeah, I really wish Neil could have been with us.
I wish he could have come too.
I think he would have had a blast.
He would have had so much fun.
He would have had a blast.
Yeah.
He couldn't get out of work, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure I have so many. Terry, thank you so much. Terry worked so hard. You know,
Terry was a rock.
Craft services, making sure that the, you know, food was out and ready to serve, you know, to get everybody fed, and she acted for us as well. She was background, and she got to get thrown on the, you know, get thrown around by Sean the Klingon, too, and she was a real sport about it, you know, that she never complained.
Loved that. No, she asked me for that.
Oh.
She was like, yeah, she specifically asked if she could do something like that. She came to me like the day before and was like, is there any way I could get killed on camera? And I was like, I think there's something we have been talking about that you'd be good for.
Yeah.
Because Sean was like, I want to do this really startling thing at the beginning. And I was like, let's do that with Terry. Terry vacuums the floor at Neutral Zone. She goes in there like once a week and cleans the place. I mean, that's the devotion that some of these people have.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, people who don't know, Ray Tessie lives like in Boca Raton. Like he lives nowhere near the studio. And so he relies on so many other people like Terry, like Ruth. You know, one person that's helped out in the past is Ashley Armstrong, Sam Rooks, you know, like so many different people. He relies on them to really take care of that studio. Now Julie's a big part of it. She's coordinating all their volunteers now, and did that for their recent fan appreciation weekend. Okay. So they've got like just a staple of great people. Ed, he's still with us on the live stream. I was talking about Ed earlier today.
Yeah.
Man, Ed is like a rock for that place. I mean, he helps keep it afloat. You know what I mean? He's always there to do whatever it is they need.
He's been very generous to us. Thank you, Ed, for everything that you've done.
In generous meaning he helps pay for a lot of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really helped us out.
He paid for our rooms the first night.
Our rooms. He bought us dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, dadgum. And my thing was like, this
He's
guy.
For
yeah. You know.
Yeah, he got
guy
to
from across the country who's never met us until that day, like helps us pay for our movie, helps us find hotels, finds a place to stay. Like who does that? You know, that's so neat. Ed does. You know, and there were, you know, Ray Myers, you know, in Arkansas the same way.
Yeah.
There's another person who helped us in that regard that we can't mention because of his job, but he knows who he is.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
here in the chat. We were fortunate enough, we couldn't really put him on film, but we put his daughter on film,
Yeah.
and that was a treat.
Hi, person we can't mention.
Yeah, but another rock. But then you see people like Skip. Skip burned vacation days to be there. Skip like traveled all the way from Dallas to be there, and when he showed up, he was off book, like you said, with his part.
Yeah.
You know, Ruth and Sarah, you know, they're staples at Neutral Zone. They came, they bought their own rooms.
Yeah.
Ruth helped out a lot. Ruth and Ashley went like grocery shopping and worked with Terry, and they made us food every day. Guy we can't mention got everybody coffee and bagels. Like I said, you don't do this in a vacuum. You just don't. So it's just like you talk about all the people. Like I could scroll through this chat, and you're seeing so many of them. Catherine Vera and her husband Ray helped us out. They were a big part of what happened. Christina Moore, shout out to you if you're still with us. She is a great fan and supporter who is just, you know, is there for every episode. Got to have her with a voice part, and that was great. Julie, Zam, and Cheeto, you know, they helped us out. They contributed.
Zam and Cheeto are the reason for a segment of or an aspect of
Crisis.
Yeah.
We wrote a scene just for them.
Because the star dates of our lives exists because of Zam and Cheeto.
I mean, so many people that are here with us, this is because of them, you know. Even Vance, who, you know, I don't know if he's still in the comment with us, but he inspired Avalon Universe. He was the one who pushed me to do this to begin with. So it's like there's so many people that you just meet along this journey that make this happen. And we could talk about you guys all day because we love you so much, because you made our dreams come true. All of you, Alex, Jessica, Caitlin, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
All of you.
Beth Gartman, one of our background actors, didn't complain once when she had to lay on the floor with a sword sticking in her for, you know, hours at a time.
Frank's still with us. Frank Parker Jr. You know, it was really great to get him into multiple films. We had him in Tales from the Neutral Zone. We had him in Avalon too. He played 2 parts in Avalon. Warren Hawk. Let's give a shout out to the Hawk Man.
Yes, Warren.
With his walking around with his fanny pack the whole time.
Yeah, he had that thing draped over his shoulder.
He's got a little fanny pack. He puts it across his shirt, and he just walks around with it all the time. That's like one of my favorite things about the behind the scenes videos.
Yeah.
Other person to mention is Christopher Collins, who is like the most committed BTS photographer you'll ever meet in your entire life. Like, I'm not really that big into BTS photography. He took all of these pictures, by the way, that we showed in our slides. He was everywhere, man. He was on top of it the whole time.
Yeah. No, he took it dead serious. He was, he wasn't missing anything.
All he wanted to do was help. That's the only thing he wanted. And, you know, like I'm like in the zone, and I just didn't realize it. And at one point he had the biggest smile on his face when he could pick up a light stand and move it. And I just thought, dude, this guy just wants to help. He just wants to be here. And that's so cool.
Yeah. Thanks for all the photos, Chris.
And but one of my favorite things he did is he recorded these videos too, like all these great videos of like Tina like walking into the door, you know, during one take. But then he's got this great little video where it's Warren and Alan Anderson and Caitlin. And Alan Anderson's the guy who does all the sound recording at Neutral Zone. This dude's like an encyclopedia of music, because I think he's been a DJ. But
well, Alan and Dan Scanlon, right?
Yeah, Alan and Dan do the audio.
But the audio guys, and they're awesome.
It was Alan talking to Caitlin about music, right? And they're just having a field day, just talking about these songs. And Warren's just kind of there, in the middle of it, and he's got his fanny pack on, and he's just kind of wandering around, sort of in this conversation. And then when he realizes that he has no idea what they're talking about, he just like walks out, just gone. He just bails. He's like, okay, I'm lost in this conversation. And he just walks away. You see the decision on his face. All right, I'm lost here. Which he would do in the middle of scenes. So
yeah, we kind of spent the weekend playing hide and seek with Warren at times, but that's why Caitlin was so helpful. On Saturday as my assistant, I'm like, I need this person, I need this prop, I need this. Where the f is Warren? Caitlin's, I'll get him.
That was one of those. That was one of those.
Here, I got him.
Where I completely lost it, and that was one of your favorite moments of the entire weekend. Okay, so I go to change memory cards, right? That's all I'm doing is changing memory cards. So I walk off the set. I get one memory card archiving.
Well, hang on. Let me tell it from my perspective first to give everybody the context here. So I'm rehearsing with 20%. Okay. I'm going through rehearsal with Warren and Amani, who's playing
Dr. Daystrom.
Dr. Daystrom, which is Dr. Daystrom's daughter. Yeah. Anyway, and they're going over dialogue, and we're going through rehearsal, and then Josh is like, "Okay, I get keep him going. I got to go do this or whatever. I'll be back." So Josh takes off, and I think it was Ashley Armstrong that just shoves a bowl of food at me. Just comes into engineering and just
puts to make us eat.
Yeah, I know. She just puts a bowl of food in my hand, and I literally there was no surface area to set this thing except for on the floor, and you don't do that. So I had nowhere to put it down. So the quickest way to get rid of this food, it was to eat it. I just inhaled the shit. And by the time I get through eating, I look up, Warren's gone, Amani's gone. I guess they saw me eating and decided, oh, it's lunchtime. So now I got to go find them. And so I walk out, and I'm about
3 hours behind, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm about halfway to backstage, and I just hear this scream from engineering, "Where the fuck did everybody go?" And I'm like, I'm like, Warren, Amani, finish eating later. We got to do this scene. Come on. That scream, that was for you.
Because it's like this thing that's been going on for 5 years where like I go do some tech thing, I'll be like, I'll be right back, and then I come onto the set and it's like a wasteland, like everyone's left, and I'm like, we're still making a movie here, like where did everyone go, like why did they wander off the set? We're still shooting. And so like I literally go to change cards. I walk back into engineering, and it's like tumbleweeds are blowing around in there. I'm like, wait, we're still filming. We're 3 hours behind. Why is everyone not on set that's in this scene? And of course, I just lost it the way I do. And then like 2 seconds later, I'm like, sorry. Anyway, we're 3 hours behind. So. But at least we can laugh about it. I think I only did that twice the entire shoot.
Yeah.
Where the other one was where like I changed the scene
and didn't tell me.
I didn't tell
me. That's why all the actors were confused, because I had given them direction and blocking and everything based on the way you wrote the script, the way it was written. And then we come in and you've got them doing different stuff. And I'm like, oh, why are we doing this? Because they're supposed to come in. This person's not supposed to come in yet. And then you're like, no, you're like, what does everybody not understand about, I want a person to walk into a room? And I'm like, but this person isn't supposed to walk in yet because it's the script set. And you were like, I changed it. I've already had this conversation twice. I'm like, okay, you didn't tell me you changed it. You haven't had this conversation with me. And you're like, all right, let's just do it.
It's like, oh, it's not that way in the script. I'm like, I wrote the script. Like, what does it matter what the script says? Like, I am the script. But then half the time people are like, I'm like, what does it say in the script? Like, I forgot what I wrote, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, as you do.
but you know, it's just, it- I do that to Tyler. I'm mean to him. I shouldn't be. I'm sorry.
Well, no, we're friends, so
I was
we're
mean to you
buddies. We
earlier
give each
today, and I haven't said I'm sorry to you yet for that.
me.
Yeah, maybe you didn't see it. Um,
Oh, what, a text message?
yeah, I
Oh,
deleted it.
oh, okay. Oh,
I was
okay.
like,
Oh, was it in the group?
yeah. I
Okay.
was like, I was like, you asked me for something. I was like, I already posted that.
Yeah. Oh no, you texted me. You were like, I was like, hey, yeah, oh yeah, can you send a link for people who want to just join the watch the podcast or the live stream and comment on it. You're like, it's posted everywhere. Like, okay, fine. Well, I wanted to have it to send to somebody. So
Anyway, yeah, I'm mean to him and I shouldn't be. I'm sorry, Tyler. It's a deal where, like, to my credit, I'm better about it than I used to be. Because, like,
well, I can take it.
I you know, it's one of those things where when you have an issue, you really need to kind of, you know what I mean? You got to take a look at yourself and go, okay, you know, I need to get a hold of myself. Because I think there was one point when we were shooting the fight scene where somebody was looking at me and they were like, you don't really look well." You know, like, you're completely red and your eyes are all bloodshot. Are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. Don't worry.
During the fight scene,
It's
someone was
normal.
looking at you like you weren't all right.
Yeah, there was one point where somebody said, like, you're, because I was like dehydrated and I'd been
Yeah,
working all
well,
day
yeah.
and my eyes were bloodshot and I hadn't gotten a lot of sleep. And somebody was like, you don't look like you're well. And I was like, I may look bad. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Like, this is normal for me. Like, I
Hell,
get
I was
overeaten.
the one getting the shit kicked out of me, but but no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were both suffering for our craft in different ways. That's for sure. Yes, I almost did. And at the end of the day, on Monday, it was pretty rough. I had to leave set for like 5 minutes a couple of times,
Yeah.
like splash water all over myself.
Oh yeah, I remember that because you were overheating.
Yeah,
And I was trying to get you to sit down and drink something. And you're like, no, we got to. I'm good. We got to keep going. And I'm like, dude, take 10, take 15. Like, sit in front of a fan. You know, drink lots of water. And you're like, no, I'm good.
Later, I was okay, but
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's why I kind of wanted to do it in the winter, because I had done shoots in the winter before where, like, everybody's teeth are chattering and I'm like pretty comfortable because I'm overheating. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to shoot in the winter, is because, you know, I've got an overheating problem where I just work and I work and I work and I work and I get, you know, I turn red and all that kind of stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. I want to mention some other background actors, some volunteers that showed up and were great and were just, you know, didn't complain. They were like, hey, we're here if you need us. We're wearing this. If you want us to change, we can put on something else. Just let us know. Was Donna, Randy, Ray. What is Ray's wife's name? You know who I'm talking about.
Who was that again?
No, well, obviously not Ray Tessie. The other guy named Ray that was, in a blue uniform.
Yeah, Ray and his wife. We mentioned him, Vera, Raphael Ray Vera.
Okay, yeah. And but what his wife's name is escaping me, and I feel terrible. But they were great. They were just really great.
She was. I mentioned her a little bit ago. She's in the chat. Catherine. You know who else was here for a little bit is Vu Ha was here.
Oh yeah. For
a little while, and he was my confused Asian guy in a scant a couple months ago. Yeah. So I enjoyed that immensely.
And got to mention my friend Brandy again, Brandy Taylor. Brandy.
Yeah, she was.
That's her stage name. So
she was ugly hairdo lady.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Other background volunteers that were helpful.
There was
There's Doug. Doug.
Doug Williamson.
Yeah.
Doug Williamson was there.
Yeah. He
And
did background, and he played bridge officer a few different times, and passing background, and
Lawrence Henshaw was there. Man, we had I mean, it's like you said, we had something like 30 to 50 people, so it's it's difficult.
Tatiana was great.
Tatiana, yeah. So it's if we miss you, we're incredibly sorry, because
yes, yeah, I don't want to miss anybody, but and I feel like we haven't talked like near enough about Mira. Mira was like Mira was there in for every shot. She just wanted to see the movie get made. She just wanted to be there.
She was like a ninja. Like every single set we were on, she was just there.
Yeah, you turn around and
she'd find this little corner to hang out in while we were filming, and she was so quiet, and she would just watch us film, and it was like the coolest thing. And again, she was another one of those people that contacted me and said, "Can I die in this movie?" And so like I was like, "Well, I'm planning to kill a lot of people, so let's do it."
Yeah.
So we rigged up a little death scene for her, but then we worked her in a couple of other places as well.
Yeah,
because we had her in a mask when she died, so we were.
We had her as a Klingon, and then we had her as
like a medical officer.
Yeah.
It's
very
funny.
Generous donor as well.
It's funny to kind of describe her as a ninja, because you can't miss her. She's like 7 feet tall, in rainbow hair and all of this, but so nice, so kind, so easy to work with, and just a joy to have on set. So it was just like another great person that you get to meet.
Yeah, I got to talk to her for a little bit. She was on a vacation, and she was like, this was like, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was like phase 1 of her vacation, being on set for those few days, and then she was going to Cape Kennedy, and then a few other places.
Yeah. So she had a lot going on. So it was, again, it's just you get the opportunity in film that you don't get with a lot of other professions, that you just get to meet a lot of really cool people.
Yeah.
Leslie was a big
Sawyer. Oh yeah.
Our shoot. It was really, what was really neat about Leslie is, and I alluded to this earlier, if we gave her a very special line, but the reason for that is because Leslie is another person who's been with us from day one.
From the beginning.
The first day of shooting and the first weekend of September of 2018.
Doing Ghost Ship, yeah. She and Spriggs.
First day, and she played a zombie, and we recreated that shot from Alien 3 with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Alien, and it was you and Leslie, and Leslie's like coming in to bite you, and you're like up against the wall.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite shots of the whole movie. And then we ended up giving her a real part. It wasn't just, we were able to devise a character for her, and it was really special to give that character an arc and have something happen with that character. And
now she was on the bridge. That final shot
she was in the last shot.
She was on the bridge. So was that Sarah Jones? Was Sarah Jones communication and then moved to science?
Might have been Sarah Jones.
Yeah.
Victoria Avalon is in the house with us. The captain.
Hi, Victoria. Thanks for being here.
The captain of the Dreadnought Dominion. Captain of the USS Dominion. And you will see Victoria Avalon in the Once and Future Captain, and you will see the Dreadnought Dominion in Once and Future Captain. So that's another one of those things we have that we're still going to film. So, because I'm going to be down there when they shoot their next film.
Awesome. So, thank you for being part of it, Victoria.
See a little cameo from her. Victoria's cool, man. She's another person I really like and look up to. She is law enforcement in real life, has been, and tough lady, man. Knows her stuff. Don't mess with her.
I don't think I'd want to.
Yeah, no, she's cool. She's so cool. Like, she gives all these great opinions on different, like, current events. She's always posting something really neat. You read it, you're like, well, that's really insightful. So smart lady, the perfect captain of a starship, if you ask me. She really fits the role, I think. So I was happy to see that. And she says, "Have we seen the last?" I don't think so. I don't think it's truly over. You know, going back to Leslie's very special line when you see it,
Yeah.
it really has a part to play in that. And
No, it's not the end. It's a stopping point.
I think that what we're
It's
going to do is when we get through this, you know, after the Avalon films, we're going to have um, three three films that are unrelated to the core story. So I would call what we've been doing for the last 5 years the core story. So you've got the Excalibur crew with Allenby, and then you have the Mason and Archer story. Those come together in the Once and Future Captain. That's the core story of Avalon Universe, and we will have resolved the core story of Avalon Universe in the Once and Future Captain. Does that mean we'll never make a film with those characters again? Well, we certainly leave it open ended. I will say that. And if we make the decision in 2 years that we want to revisit those characters, or in a year, or whenever, we've left it open to where we can do that. Will we? Well, we're talking about something. We're talking about something. And that's all I'll say is we're talking about something.
Well, I take inspiration from Farragut. You know, John Broughton and that crew. You know, they made some really great TOS era
Mm-hmm.
films, Farragut films. What, 8 to 10 years ago, and now they're coming back as you
In
know,
Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan era with the Monster Maroons. And
Mm-hmm.
it looks
Yep.
great. I can't wait to see that. It looks so good.
Yeah, it's going to be
So
cool. They released a teaser that was
today?
so good. Not today, like
Oh,
about
okay.
a
The
year
one that
ago,
we, yeah, yeah.
but it
Jennifer
was
was.
amazing.
That's
And
the one we watched on the way back. Yeah.
they've got a director working with them now, Johnny Karzai, who's real deal. He did this Batman fan film that was just it was it, man. It was like you know, it made me forget about Pete Holmes for a minute. It was so cool. It was a Michael Keaton era Batman fan film that was just off the charts cool. And so if it follows that, you know, coolness, man, their movie era Farragut stuff is going to be just rocking. So I can't wait for it. But what I will say is, no, we're not going to do Space Pajamas. I'm not saying we're going to do Wrath of Khan era. What we're talking about is maybe something like that, in the sense that there will be maybe a time jump, so to speak. So we're talking about it. Will it happen? We'll see. In the meantime, there's going to be three films that are not part of the core story, but maybe have a peripheral connection to the core story. We're doing one with Jim Von Dultron called The Omega Probe, that he and I are pretty deep into writing. That we'll end up shooting, but it'll have a tie to the core story. There's the Tales from the Neutral Zone crossover that we've already filmed, and then there's one more that will show the 4 Years War um, from FASFA, from Axanar, but it won't be Axanar. It will show an aspect of the 4 Years War in the Avalon universe. So, you know, we're going to further establish, as we did with like Legacy and some of our other productions, that the 4 Years War, which comes from Starfleet Battles, from FASFA, from a board game originally, we're
You
going
mean
to show
FASA?
FASA, yeah.
The FASA, yeah, yeah.
We're going to show that the 4 Years War did occur in the Avalon universe, and we're going to we're going to explore a story that connects to one of our core story films. It's going to be not very long. It's going to be like interlude, you know, that sort of length. But so we've got some sort of anthology, a couple of anthology things that we're going to do, and then yeah, FASA. Then what we're going to do is make that decision. I will say this. I've written 2 Walker Texas Ranger fan films, and I really want to make them.
Oh my gosh.
And we got Walker versus LSD Johnson, and one other that I think would just be way too much fun not to do. So those might pop up at some point. But yeah, will we see these Avalon Universe characters again? Well, we're going to end up with them in a place where we can maybe find them again should we want to. But with something like this, I think everyone's going to need a break.
Yeah. I mean, and it's going to be a while before once the future captain comes out. And in the meantime, we've got so much content for you. We're giving you 4 films. So take heart, donors, everyone who's been so generous in contributing because they want to see more Avalon Universe. It's coming. It's coming. It's just a process.
Ed's got a good question. Is it the Chuck Norris Walker, or I guess referring to the CW thing that's not Walker, but Walker? Yes, absolutely, Chuck Norris style. Someone very, very famous in fan films has asked if he can play Walker. I don't know if I'm going to let him do it, but we'll talk. I'll talk about it. He's a friend. He's one of Skip's buddies. And he's saying, "Come film in Fort Worth." I think that might end up happening.
In Fort Worth, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like December.
They would film a lot of Walker Texas Ranger in the winter. If you watch a lot of their episodes, they're filmed and they're obviously filmed in the winter, probably because they didn't want to kill their crew.
Yeah. Well, because it's just dangerous to film when it's too hot.
So. Anyway, that's what we got. We've crossed the finish line. We've made an accomplishment, and we're grateful. We're grateful to everyone who helped us get here. We're grateful for the journey that we've had, the ups and the downs. Because we learned from the downs. We had some dark days. We had some truly dark days in this journey, some really dark days. And, it's one of those things where you could never see what was coming. There were little things like somebody, gets sick or gets Lyme disease or breaks a bone or something like that offset. Or I think we delayed one time 3 months because somebody got a haircut. You know what I mean? Little things like that. And the thing about delays is they tend to lead to more delays. It's like there was a sequence where actor got a haircut, so we delayed 3 months. So we hit COVID, which delayed us like 5 more. And then once we got on the other side of that, we had a pregnant actress. And so
which we worked around.
We worked around. Oh, that was the easy part.
She was 8.5 months pregnant on camera, but we hit it.
Yeah, we hit it. That was the easy part. Those were not the darkest days.
No.
There were other very, very dark days, and we got through them and we overcame them. All of us did. And we could have let it stop us, and we didn't. And we crossed the finish line, and I couldn't be more proud of everybody, and I couldn't be more grateful to everyone who is here with us. For helping us accomplish that goal. So there you go. With that, that's all I've got for tonight.
And Josh, thank you for all of this. I mean,
yes.
From me personally and my experience in all of this, thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome. I mean, I can't expect everyone else to give their best if I don't at least try to give mine. And I make all these jokes like I was about to pass out or whatever, but it's like, I'd make more of how hard I work if I felt like those efforts were in vain, but I don't feel that way. So for me, it's like, driving 16 hours to shoot at Neutral Zone Studios, or working in, the heat or whatever. Like that's just, that's just what's necessary to get it done. And if it were something that bothered me, I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't. I don't mind working hard. That's probably why I drive myself to the point of like hitting a wall, because it doesn't actually bother me, and I push it too far. But it's like, I would, like I said, I would make a big deal of that if I felt the effort was in vain. I don't feel that way, so it's like, to me, it's not a big deal that I went and worked a bunch of days. Who cares? It's what I want to do that. I'd rather go down to Neutral Zone Studios and work myself, or Warp 66 and work myself to exhaustion, than just like sit in my bedroom. What do I accomplish sitting in here if I'm not editing? I'm just sitting around watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. So what? You know what I
Well,
mean?
my phone is probably about to die because it hit 10% several minutes ago. So
One quick thing before we jump off, and I'm posting it in the chat, and then I'll have it in the video description of comments later. Like with many film productions, we went a little bit over budget. So we've got some stuff that's hanging up in the air, for anybody who watches now or in later on. We've got to help one person out with like a car that they rented. We just have some outstanding stuff. We were short of our crowdfunding goal, and we went a little bit over budget. So I've got the link to our GoFundMe in the live chat. I'm going to put it in the link to the video. Anyone out there who wants to help us kind of cross the finish line on that goal and make sure everything gets taken care of, thank you. We'll figure it out. So there we go. All right. I want to thank everybody for hanging with us.
One more name I want to mention. There was a background actor that showed up that helped us out on Monday and Tuesday shoot. His name was Ron. I don't think I remember Ron's last name, but thank you, Ron, for being there.
Yeah, he was in a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
Helped us out. Wasn't that nice? Hey, I think I'll just have like 5 red shirts in here with phasers, and there they were.
Yeah.
It was great, man. But again, thank you to not just thank you to everyone who helped us make this. Thank you to all of us, all of you out there who watch Avalon Universe.
Yes. Thank you to our audience.
To our 17,000 almost subscribers, to the 1.6 million people that have viewed these films over the past 5 years. Thank you for being there for us and making this worthwhile. And with that, as always, live long and prosper, y'all. We'll catch you on the next live stream, which will feature Sean Patrick Kennedy.
Awesome.
Thanks and have a great night.
All right. See you guys.